Hello, welcome. This is going to be a great video. I'm aiming for like 30 minutes. I'm going to almost make this a podcast. Let me move my microphone. Let's make it in the perfect spot for this video. So today we're going to discuss a few things, probably mostly controversial things or things that people always have a different opinion on. That's the reason why I made this video. I feel like reading comments for my whole day, honestly, and I just want to hear what some people have to say and maybe get a point across to some people or have one given to me where I think differently of something. So I will be putting a picture up on the screen whenever I do discuss something, just to be kind of easier, because I'll probably just be AFKing Dagonos for this task or for this video. So this is going to be discussing the wilderness, it's like Rejuvenation and Revenant Caves, which is also like another expansion of it, pretty much. So we've got the Chaos Altar, we've got the Rev Case, which seems to be the really controversial one at the moment, and of course we have the Mage Cape, best in slot Mage Cape coming from, I believe, killing some wilderness bosses that they're going to be adding later on. So currently the only thing that's actually passing in the live polls that we have right now, which I think opened up just recently, so you still have quite a while, I believe, to vote, is the Ancient Crystals, which when I read this before the poll even came out, like live in the game, I liked it. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Doesn't have much to do with PKing necessarily, but maybe it makes PKing a bit more convenient if you go to your house, use a pool, and then teleport away into the wilderness again. So I don't know. It's very funny that it's like the only thing passing, and it doesn't really actually have anything to do with the wilderness update or much of a rejuvenation. One thing I do want to make clear is that I can honestly say I do feel quite bad for the PKers of this game that enjoy PKing, and that's all they enjoy doing. I can obviously compare myself sort of to that. It's just I enjoy skilling, and most likely only skilling. Don't really like PVMing that much. I mean, it's fun once in a while, but I don't personally like it much. I mean, it's whatever to me. But skilling is pretty much all I do. And I assume that most people that are annoyed by this poll are people that do mostly nothing but PKing for the most part. So let me start off by saying that it is unfortunate that PKing doesn't get that many updates. Now, there is a big question that keeps coming up, which is, why do they keep repolling things? At this point, I'm going to probably have to side potentially with Jax on some grounds, but not on all grounds. I don't like when they repoll things when they fail. Especially if they fail pretty badly. I don't like them being pulled again and again, and hopefully, that they can push their agenda out kind of thing, where it'll hopefully eventually pass. In fact, I think the opposite thing has happened here, where basically people are annoyed so much that they're repolling something that they're just voting no now. And that could be a case of why maybe there's some no's up there. It could be, I'm not too sure. But I would say when it comes to PKing updates, we don't see them too often. And I don't like seeing JMods push their agenda or like push something to maybe get it closer and closer, because the question is going to come to, when a skilling update fails by like 2%, why is that not repolled the next time? If it is, like, how often does that happen, right? Because sometimes we have polls where we look at, last year's polls that failed by like 1 or 2%, and they review them and maybe do them again, or they reword them, or they change them a little bit. But why weren't those repolled right away, just like all these PKing ones? I feel like, even though it is unfortunate for PKers, they don't get many updates. It is kind of a bit weird how they don't, do the same thing when it comes to a new boss or a new drop table or just anything to do with something besides PKing. But right now, I don't really have an issue with them doing this for PKing. I mean, I kind of do and I kind of don't, mostly just because it doesn't get enough love as it is. And if all these continue to fail, who knows when the next PKing update is going to be. So, you know me, I don't like PKers that much. I mean, I know how to keep an open mindset, though, and to them right here, I do kind of feel bad. I do wish more people knew how to have an open mindset. I'm sure everyone thinks the same, even though, some people don't. So something that did shock me quite a bit is that the PvP armors are all failing. I believe they all failed. I don't think any of them passed. I think the only thing at the moment that Revenants are actually going to drop are those crystal things. For the thing in your house is 4 ancient crystals and 4 marble blocks, and you can make your own Wildy obelisk in your house. So that's like the only thing that's passing, and that might just be passing because it's useful maybe for PVMing or for doing clue scrolls or something like that. It's probably not even passing because a PK really cares that much about it. As far as the little lamp that takes away 50 XP every time you use it, honestly, I thought it was a pretty brilliant idea. People make mistakes in train defense by accident. Should there be a way that they can reset it? Sure. Should there be a bit of a punishment maybe for it? Sure. Why not, if you can make a money sink out of it? Because some accounts do get ruined, and there's hundreds and thousands of hours spent on it, and they might ruin it by accident because maybe one night they weren't really paying attention. I like that there's a way that you can, in this example at least, kind of reset it a little bit, but unfortunately it is failing by like 6 or 7%, so that's probably not going to come out. Though I think if they dove more into this question, they could probably make it pass quite easily. There's a lot of things that are kind of, there's a lot of loopholes that might be found around this, and I just kind of wish they would address those loopholes and just kind of cover all of them before they even really need to poll it necessarily, because now it's just going to fail. It might not pass if they re-poll it again because people will get pissed off. I think the big concern for some people that are reading this question is mostly like, what if someone like has barrel gloves and they reset their defense back to 1 or something like that, even though that would take like, I think like 2 years or something like that. Maybe it just makes sense to put like a 40 defense or 45 defense requirement on barrel gloves. I mean, I think you get around 45 defense when you go towards barrel gloves. Maybe just so those people that voted no would understand that it doesn't mean a 1 defense peer is going to have barrel gloves. Maybe just add a defense requirement on barrel gloves. That way, that isn't, the reason why they're voting no. I'm not sure. Maybe that's what they're planning on doing. I hope not, because that's kind of strange. But if that's why people are voting no, I kind of wish they went more into detail, I guess, with this this question. And I'm fully aware that the question says 10 lamps per player. But I don't think people read the full thing. So I think that's why it's probably failing. I don't think people normally read the entire poll. They read the starting of it and they're like, no thanks, and then they kind of just switch. But the idea itself, I like it personally. I think it works perfectly. If you make a mistake, you pay a bit of money to fix that mistake, or you make a brand new account and you do it all over again. So it's kind of up to you. But unfortunately, it's not passing, so it's not even going to be an option. As you can see, I said I feel damn bad for some of these PKers or these peers. Really unfortunate to see that that's not passing. Now, this video isn't designed for me to just read off these questions and come up with a response or something. It's going to dive a little bit deeper into just general updates that have to do with wilderness, skilling, and PVMing updates just in general. I'm not sure what Reddit is like the past few days, but I know that Twitter has been quite bad with skillers and PVMers and PKers pretty much at each other's throats, which is unfortunate to see because, I mean, this game doesn't really move much at all if everyone hates each other, because then you got to get 75% to pass in polls, and whether I'm not going to go over whether or not that's a great polling system or not. I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. It's kind of on a base to base type of thing. Right, so I want to use another example, and hopefully maybe this will put it into perspective for some of the PKers, maybe to understand, and maybe even some of the JMods, so they can understand something. I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to make it so PKers in a way get punished, as I feel skillers and PVMers are sometimes getting punished by these wilderness rejuvenation updates. I'm going to turn around and make it so someone else gets an update and PKers and skillers get punished. So here's my example. And I'm going to use the same logic that Jagex uses to back up their own statements. So, I got a big news for you guys. PKing is 100% active, and so is skilling. But PVMing is now dead. No one's doing it. No one's interested in it. It's completely dead. There is no community there. Very few people and few selected people are doing PVMing. So, obviously, they want to revive PVMing. Just like they're reviving the wilderness, they're trying to revive PKing to make it more active, right? Well, PVMing is now dead. Skilling is great. PKing is even great. Imagine that. So, PVMing is completely dead. This is what I want Jagex to do. Or, not I want, but this is the same thing that Jagex is currently doing to skillers and to PVMers with these wilderness rejuvenation updates. The exact same thing, but now it's going to affect you guys as a PKer. From now on, if you're using an item that's dropped from a boss, you need to go and kill that boss, let's just say, for example, 100 times, for a small example. And then you can go and use that item. Because currently, bosses are quite dead. And we need people to go kill the bosses. Just like the Wildy is dead. We need people to come in here and skill in PVM. So our lovely PKers can come and kill them. Well, PKing is doing great. PVMing is not. So we're going to now make it a requirement where if you want to use Dragon Claws anywhere in the game, you got to do raids 100 times. Because, well, realistically, that's actually going to make a huge portion of your community right now go do raids. I mean, I know Jax likes to pull out these statistics, right? Give me the statistics of how many people have completed 100 plus raids. I bet you it's like 1% of the community. Well, hey, let's revive raids, man. Let's make it so you can only use claws if you've done about 100 raids. And not just claws, anything from raids, right? So this is now going to affect people doing Slayer with the Kodai wand, with the Arcane. Oh god, go kill Corp to use an Arcane. Imagine that. All the armors and everything, right? Think about that. Would that not revive PVMing? Oh, hell yeah, it would. But what a piece of shit way to revive it. To make your PKers go do raids. That's right. Force them to go do raids. Otherwise, I'm going to use the same example that Jax would tell you. Hey, you don't have to hunt black chins. You can go do red chins. It's not my fault you don't want to risk it in the wildy. Well, I'm going to say the same thing to you now. Hey, you don't need D-Claws, bro. DDS works fine. DDS is a spec weapon. You can replace your Dragon Claws with the DDS. If you have an issue with that, go do raids 100 times and you're on your way. Do you see what I mean? Like, what kind of positive energy does this create? Like, yeah, PVMing is back to being great. Everyone's doing PVMing all of a sudden. Not because they want to, because they feel forced. Do you get what I mean? I hope I'm not pissing the PKers off, but this is what you guys are doing with your updates to us, right? I don't have an issue voting yes to PvP armors because this doesn't affect my aspect of playing. But making everyone go do raids because it's currently dead, and that's the only way you can think of as a JMod to revive it, is just pathetic. Another easy and small example. We have Wilderness Diaries. Let's make a bunch of areas in the Wildy that are great places to go skilling in require Elite Wildy Diary. You can still enter the resource area if you haven't done the diary. You just save a bit of money if you've done it. But let's make it so you have to do Wildy Elite Diary, which, in case you're wondering, has some of the highest requirements any diary has. Now what? Now you got a PKer needing to go skilling so they can PK in the Wildy. Do you see what I mean? Do you kind of get the point, though? Every PKer right now would be so pissed off if they had to do all these things so they can continue to PK, because an efficient skiller wants to continue to efficiently skill. But you're forcing them in the wilderness. According to Jax, it's not force, it's a choice. But like I just said, I mean, I just made you go to raids to continue using claws, did I not? Yes, I did force you. Don't hide behind the fact that I didn't, because I did. You were using them before, and now to continue using them, you have to go and do something else. I was getting great Hunter XP before, but now that you've added black chins, I am not getting the best Hunter XP. Now I gotta go in the wildy to get the best. Do you see what I mean? It's just awful. So just stop with this goddamn excuse of you're not being forced, it's your choice. Because I just turned that around on you, and I made you look like a fool now. Now this is the part probably where things might get a bit controversial. Whether you like the idea or the thought process or not, I guess I respect you for listening, and maybe if you want, leave yourself your opinion in the comments, because it's kind of the whole point of this video. I think when it comes to the PKing updates that they've done, what they call Wilderness Rejuvenation, I think they are too focused on adding PVMing and skilling into the wilderness. I will state that. I will go more into detail eventually probably, but I feel like when you think of a Wilderness Rejuvenation update, you don't think of like new methods for skilling, new bosses to kill, new pets to get. You think PKing things, right? Those aren't really PKing, in my opinion. I understand why they do that, because it brings people into the wilderness, which gives skillers or PKers someone to kill, which is like what they want. I personally think this is the lazy way out. This is the lazy way to update it. There needs to be more thought process into this. There needs to be more, maybe more talking to the players. I'm not sure exactly how to discuss all this because there's so much to discuss. I'll just pick one point and start off from there. What I do feel like that has happened, though, with why everyone is so angry and why these polls aren't really passing, I think with doing the Wilderness Rejuvenation 1 and all these other things that have happened by making clue scrolls easier to get and blah, 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 so more people doing clue scrolls, and there's a lot of wildy clue scrolls, obviously. I think they kind of, like, without trying to, but they accidentally, they made it so people don't like each other almost. I don't think that there was much hatred towards PKers and skillers and PVMers way back in the day. But to be quite honest with you, I feel like they've started to make it so skillers feel the need to go in the wildy. And I'm going to cover this later on in this video, where there's a difference between force and there's a difference between choice to go in the wildy. And that is true in a few different cases. Now there is a small point that I would like to probably drive home before we get too far into this, is and why I think these PKing updates need to kind of be accepted by most people, because the reality of it is that the way they're currently updating PKing, it's actually like, it has to do with everyone in the community. They're adding bosses, they're adding pets, they're adding skilling methods. A skilling update has nothing to do with PKers, so they're not really being affected by it. But if you're going to bring a new skilling method in the wilderness, doesn't it sound more correct to get their approval of it as well? Because it's a skilling update. It's a new boss, it's a new drop table, it's a new pet. I mean, it does affect these other people in the community, whereas if they add a new boss and it doesn't drop anything crazy good for PKing, how is a PKer affected by that? If a new skilling method comes out, how is a PKer affected by that if they just PK? That's something that needs to be kind of understood, and that's maybe why people feel strongly against some of the PKing updates, is because it doesn't actually have anything to do with PKing. It's got to do with PVMing or skilling. And this is why I don't have an issue voting yes to PvP armors, because one, you don't use them for skilling, you don't use them for PVM necessarily. I believe they removed that. It's only meant for PKing, and I don't have an issue with that, because it doesn't affect me and the way I like to play my game and my style. Everyone has a style they want to play. Everyone is going to be arrogant about the way they want to play and cocky, and I can only hope that people can just try to think past that and think of other people as well. I mean, yeah, like, it's easy to just put a skilling update in the wilderness that's really overpowered and force people to go there. My point is, find a balance between it not being so OP but still worth doing. And here's a great small example of exactly what I said. They reworded the Chaos Altar poll, and it passed with 80%. Something that they need to notice is that this Chaos Altar method does not increase XP rates. It does not replace the current best method in the game. It doesn't do anything but make prayer cheaper for players to train. And guess what? It passed by 80%. And there was hardly any bitching on Twitter about it, from high-level community, from PVMers. Everyone accepted it because it doesn't affect anything. You just save some money doing prayer. So my question is, do you need to add that update where the new best method to train a skill is in the wilderness? Or should you keep the best method outside the wilderness, but reward people for doing something in the wilderness, whether it be to save money or to get a more easier, a relaxed training method versus the intense method that's trained outside the wildy? I mean, it's easy way to make all these things pass. The altar method is like the perfect one that I can give you evidence of. It's not going to replace anything. It's not OP in any way at all, but it passed by 80%, which is huge. Everything's like 60%, 65%. How the hell do you pull 80% out of your ass? Because the update made sense. It didn't piss off any skillers. It didn't piss off any PVMers. And there you go. You got 80% for it. I guess my question would be, if there wasn't clue scroll in the wilderness, if there wasn't bosses in the wilderness, if there wasn't skilling methods in the wilderness, would those same players be annoyed at PKers and vote no, or they vote yes for the PKers to make them happy? Where would it really go? Because, I mean, that might be the reason why they're voting no. And I understand that all those updates were to rejuvenate the wilderness, but I feel like the cost is slowly getting back to them now. This is almost like a backlash, like, I don't want to swear, but because, and demonetization, by the way, screw these people for making me go in the wildy and do this clue scroll or do this boss or do this skill. Just want to quickly mention so you can see how open-minded I am. I'm a hardcore. I don't do hard clue scrolls. Have I ever once bitched to all the JMods and asked them to remove wildy steps from hard clues? No. I simply dropped the clue. So this isn't like me saying, hey, remove this. This is just me telling you guys that some people might be voting no because of a specific reason. Not me. I don't do hard clues on my hardcore because I know they require the wildy normally. Right? I mean, yeah, it's pussy of me, I know, right? But I'm not complaining about it because I fully understand it and I respect it and I just don't pick up the clue. That's it. Like this. I'm going to vote no because they're screwing me over. So it kind of gives you into this big debate between the player base. And this is a game where, like, you want to keep every player happy. That way a poll can actually pass, right? Now, everything I am saying in this video doesn't mean I agree with it or disagree with it. It's just I'm bringing ideas and topics to the discussion to make people understand that maybe this is why they're voting the way they're voting. Rather than just someone saying, I don't get why you don't vote yes. You're so stupid, screw you. But maybe some people have a reason for it. Now, for me personally, with things like PvP armors, I'm not affected by PvP armors, so obviously I'm gonna vote yes just to help out the PKers. It doesn't affect me in any possible way. Yeah, maybe I'll get rushed by someone using a Vesta armor or something, and that's the really downside of it. Maybe that's why there's some votes that are no, because people will claw rush you with more overpowered gear now, which means higher damage, which means you might die sooner, so, or have a smaller chance to get away, or a lesser chance. But on the topic of PvP armors, I don't have anything against them. I'm happy they made them PvP only. I believe they did. That was like an idea I originally thought that they were going to do anyways, because PvP armors have always been quite controversial in this community, at least for old school. So I thought that they would have already have done that before they even pulled them, but I think they did that, and I guess they're still not passing or something like that. That's one thing I'd have to say. It's just unfortunate for the PKers. I feel like they should have them. It's been 5 years almost, and there's still really no big updates to PKing. That would have been probably a pretty major one. Now, maybe the most controversial part of the video. We'll start now. Why not? I'm gonna put a picture up on the screen. I'm gonna return to that later, but just maybe take an eye to it if you want. Not yet, because I'm gonna explain that in a second. This is gonna be regarding the whole forced versus choice thing, and my opinion or my look on it, I guess. Let me start off by saying I think skilling in the wilderness is a fine idea. It makes sense, but I do not want it to be the best method. And I think a lot of the high level community is mostly against this because of that factor. And I don't think you need to make something the best to make it where all the people will go there and skill. Because people don't just chase XP on RuneScape. They chase money, XP, and bitches. Okay? Not funny. But there's always a difference between the most XP per hour or the most profitable per hour. I think with an update like the Wilderness, it should be more based on profit. I don't like for example, the black chin hunting area on old school. I don't really agree with it. I'm never going to go there, and I don't think I would go there even if it wasn't in the Wilderness. But I don't really agree with it being in the Wilderness and it being the best method for hunter by quite a bit of XP. And on top of that, it's way more money than red chins as well, because the chins are way more expensive. And in case you haven't, in case you don't know, I guess, I have spent just about 4,000 hours in the wilderness fishing dark crabs. So, like I said, I'm not against wilderness skilling. I just think there needs to be different aspects of it, and it shouldn't focus on the best XP rate, because no matter how you want to look at it, I will always believe that is you forcing a player to go in the wilderness to get the best XP rates. I think that there's better ways around it where you can get a lot of more votes that will just say yes to this update, yes to this update, where you don't have to piss off skillers. And when it comes to PKers, unfortunately, the only reason that a lot of people do PVM these days is it's for pets. But I'm not a big fan. Like, I'm not a boss hunter at all, but I do kind of feel bad if people are going for all the pets. They have to go in the wildy and deal with PKers all day just because they want the boss pet. I would be fine if they added bosses in the wilderness that are good profit, but no boss pet probably is the only thing I would take away from it. Now, if that means no one camps it, then I don't know. I guess you got to find out a good drop table for it. Because like a PVMer's weakness is a boss pet. A skiller's weakness is the best XP rate. Jags has found a way to use both of those and put them in the wilderness, and then, quite frankly, they claim that it's not forcing them, it's giving players a choice. And like I said, I don't really agree with that statement. I think there's a better way for you to make people choose to go in the wilderness, and that would be, for a very small example I want to give maybe, right on the spot. Okay, let's add a wilderness agility course. Agility course currently is like 62k an hour in RD, okay? That's like the best, pretty much the best method. You make about 300k an hour or 350k an hour doing agility with Marks of Grace. What I would do for a wilderness agility course is I would make it about 45 to 50k an hour, so a little bit less XP, yes, but maybe double the Marks of Grace per hour. Would this affect the economy negatively? Not really. Would it make you double the profit? Yeah. Would you lose out on like a little bit of XP and efficiency? Yes, but that's like kind of where I think Jax needs to kind of meet the skiller like in the middle and say, hey, like, would you do this? Like, I feel like some skillers would actually maybe do that, because if you don't know, you make like 700 mil off 200 mil agility. This would make you an extra 700 mil off of agility. Maybe if you want to even put a bit more than 2 times, maybe 2.5 times if you have Wildy Diary done or something like that. Now, that being said, Obviously, marks of grace aren't tradable, so they would have to make it either so make them tradable, which wouldn't affect the economy in any way. I'm not sure why they're not tradable anyways. Or make a wilderness type of mark of grace where it is tradable. That way, if a PKer gets you, you don't keep the marks of grace, or the PKer will get them, because then obviously the PKer is not making any money. So there's a small update that, in my opinion, most skillers would probably be fully fine with. Some skillers might consider doing it. I think a lot of low levels would definitely consider doing it. You'd probably want to scale it to the person's level. It doesn't have to be like a traditional agility course where you need 90 to do it. It can be you need 70 to do it, and it scales, the XP per hour scales as you get a higher level. Honestly, I wouldn't even be too annoyed if they made the XP rate the same as outside the wilderness or inside the wilderness. If it was 62k an hour, just like you get at Arty, I wouldn't really have an issue with it, because I know that at Arty I'm not going to have to worry about PKers, and I'll still be making some money. But the issue comes when they start to put the best method in the wildy, and it's a skilling method. It doesn't really make much sense. I do think that's kind of where they're going off course a little bit with some of their updates. I mean, it's very easy to lure someone into the wilderness if you want to use their weakness against them. Hey, look, new boss pet, go get it. Hey, look, 1 mil an hour in this skill, go get it. I mean, that's such a 2-year-old, any 2-year-old can come up with an idea to lure someone into the wilderness and give them exactly what they want. You need to think a little bit deeper into balancing it. Why would a skiller want to go here? Not for the best rates, for a decent rate and decent profit. Maybe that would be it. And if you want to get more into specifics, maybe the method could be a bit more AFK or a bit more relaxing. For example, you've got motherlode mining, which I think at this point in time, I think it's one of the most balanced things there are in the game. You've got motherlode mining, 50k an hour at 99, about 500k profit per hour at 99. You've got granite mining, 0 profit, but it's like 120k plus an hour pretty much, right? Even more than that, if you know what you're doing with a tick abusing, right? And that's obviously a lot of effort, so it's earned. It's like you're working towards the XP rates. It's earned. So, that's like perfectly well balanced, right? So you can see people still give up all that XP just so they can do a relaxed method. And that's, I think, what they can do with the wilderness is give it a more relaxed method, not the best XP rates. This would also help out the PKers, because if a method is relaxed, maybe that person's going to try to AFK while doing it, which means for a PKer, that's a good thing. If they're AFKing or trying to AFK, that's good for the PKer, because now, you can come kill them. They want to be able to eat a food because they're AFKing. So it works out in everyone's favor. It's better for the skiller. I don't want to make every skill AFK in the wildy. That's not what I'm trying to get at. But as long as the XP rate isn't too crazy and it's pretty low, and the profit's there, I think you can make a lot of things happen in the wilderness when it comes to skilling. I think I think the wilderness should be the alternative to a different method of skilling that will make you a bit more money, but a bit less XP. And then outside the wildy should be basically the safe, best XP rates, but maybe not the best profits. I would probably work on doing things like that. That would probably get you more yes votes, because at this point you're like dangling the best XP rate in front of a skiller's face, but inside the wildy. With that logic, if you follow it through, you would almost question, why would they ever put an update in the game if it's not in the wildy then? I mean, it's a great wilderness rejuvenation, right? It's almost a crazy thought process to think of. I mean, the new boss, let's put it in the wildy. Why not? It'll rejuvenate the wildy, right? Where exactly is Jax's stance on what's too much and what's too little? You put the best method in the wildy for a skill, that's pretty high up there, I would say. That's a little bit too much. What exactly is going to happen next? Is Dragon Slayer 2 quest going to be in the wildy too? Is that your way of rejuvenating the wildy now as well? Why don't you just throw everything in the wildy and rejuvenate the hell out of it? You know what I mean? So I don't like the thought process on it. I don't think there's really an end goal there. I don't think there's much of an algorithm that they're following for these. It's just, hey, this will definitely make them go in the wildy. Well, yeah, you're the best XP rate. That's what they want. Of course they're going to go in the wildy. So now I'm going to revert back to that picture I showed you guys earlier. I'll put it back up on the screen. Let me just open it on my screen so I can show you guys. So this is something that I just came up with roughly, a very rough idea. And this is, this would be like putting basically your foot on a PKer. Because right now they're stepping on skillers and PVMers by doing all these things that, will make them want to go or have to go in the wilderness. So here's my way of I guess giving them a rebound, okay, well, if that's going to happen, then I think this should happen. So here we have a very commonly well-known place. This is the Wilderness Lever, or Lever, however you want to say it. This is close to the Mage Bank and all that stuff, and it's deep wildy. You can't teleport away from it, obviously. So let's start with the top right. That's like where there's a bunch of pickaxes and you need a lockpick to enter it. What if you need 99 thieving to enter that area? If you're going to tell me that you're not forcing skillers to go in the wilderness to get the best XP rates, I'm going to say it here and say that if that door requires 99 thieving and a lockpick to enter, if a skiller gets into there or a PVMer gets in there, there's a good chance the PKer, either if they don't have 99 thieving, guess what they're going to think? A PKer is going to think, well, now I have to get 99 hunter or thieving to enter this area. They're going to feel forced to go thieving, right? That's correct. Now, thieving is a very easy skill anyways, and a lot of people have 99. I get it. But still, the point is that now this PKer feels the need to go skilling so he can correctly go PKing, right? Just like a skiller needs to go in the wildy to correctly skill, which is the best rate for him, right? And that's kind of where I draw the line. It's like, that's a bit much, There's a skilling resource area. That place is built for skilling. I say let's make it a total level requirement to enter. It's a skilling area. Why wouldn't you put a total level requirement behind it, right? I mean, why not? So now all of a sudden, if you want to PK anyone in there, you have to go train your stats to get 2k total? Is that a good way of updating the game? No. Just so you know, I don't agree with any of these on the screen. I'm just comparing it so a PKer can understand what it's like to be a skiller that's going for experience or a PVMer that's going for pets. And remember, this is just one area in the wilderness. I want this to be put everywhere. That way, a PKer feels the need to go skilling, because currently you're making a skiller feel the need to go in the wildy to do what they want to do, right? Which is get the best XP. So that's why I don't like the thought process, because this is a never-ending cycle of just bitching back and forth at each other and doing this and that. I mean, what is the difference between my picture and what they're currently doing? They're putting the best rate in the wilderness for skilling. You got a PKing area, and you're putting the best skilling area in there? What? That doesn't make any sense. So the last idea there is a 90 agility hop over stones little ordeal I have. I mean, why not, right? If you get TB'd and you're trying to teleport away, you can't. You should be able to get away with 90 agility. How many PKers have 90 agility? Not many. How many are going to feel the need to go train agility now to get away? A lot of them. Because they're going to find so many people that get away from them with 90 agility, and they're going to be annoyed. Why? Because they're in the wilderness. They don't feel like they should need 90 agility. That way they can fairly and evenly fight their targets. Because you're going to get away if you're 90 agility and they're not. Unless it's a team and you've got one guy on the outside hiding and this and that. Now you have to start planning and crap. I mean, it just becomes a complete mess, right? And that's why I don't agree with their thought process of just punishing PVMers or skillers and hiding behind the fact that, yes, you are not forcing them in the wilderness. You are correct. But I'm also not forcing you to get 99 thieving. Who says you have to go in there? Who says you have to kill that person that's hiding in that area? Who says you have to kill someone skilling in that resource area? It is your choice to PK someone in that resource area. You're not forced to do it. Do you see? I can use your logic against you and make you look like an idiot. There's literally just nothing to gain from this. I don't like the thought process of it. I don't like the thinking of this at all. I think it's just doomed to piss everyone off if you use this logic. I mine at Motherlode Mining quite a bit on my main account while I'm playing on my hardcore. I can tell you, it's really busy, especially on the weekends. Well, if you're thinking, why is it busy? There's a method in the game that's almost triple the speed, well over double the speed. Well, because the method's easy, it's relaxing, and it's good profit, a decent profit at least. So you don't need to lure a skiller into the wildy by putting the best method in there. Just find a middle ground with skillers and PVMers and PKers, and I think votes will go much smoother, because currently you've got people at each other's throats bitching and moaning because this doesn't work in their favor and this doesn't work in their favor, and it's like what I have on the screen is like a taste of a PKer's medicine, right? You want to do this to skillers, well, here's what I want to happen. Then I mean, how is this idea not fair? It makes literally no sense for the best skilling method to be in the wildy. Just like it makes no sense for you to need 90 agility to hop through some stones in the wilderness, or 99 thieving with a lockpick to enter a little area where you can hide from a PKer. None of that makes sense. But for some weird reason, people feel like it makes sense to put the best method in the wildy for skilling. And that has honestly never been done, and it's It's never been the way the game has been updated, where like, they used to make the PKing like in the wilderness to be PKing based. There was never any skilling methods or many bosses in the wilderness before, and we had a much bigger community that PK'd back in the day. So my question is, do we really need the best skilling method to be in there to attract players? Or are we just taking the easy way out instead of thinking of an actual PKing update that PKers would like, where they can, fight other PKers is the essential thing that most people think is more correct. And I do too. I mean, like, if you were a PKer, I would assume you want to have more fights with more PKers. Or are you like scared of them, so you want to go rush a skiller because you know that they're not going to attack you back and it's an easy kill for you or something like that? Or it's an easy attempt of a kill where you're not going to die because they don't have a weapon on them. I don't really get it. And remember, this is just one picture, one area in the wilderness. I mean, what if they started doing this everywhere around the wilderness? How would PKers feel? I wouldn't want that to happen to PKers. I don't know why they want, to do this to skillers, to put the best methods in there, Maybe that's not exactly what they want, because I know the big issue right now is like rev caves and this and that, which, like I said, I have no issue with rev caves or PvP armors, because, well, one, I don't PK and I'm not going to use them anyways, and if it makes PKers happy to have them, then I'm happy to vote yes to them, because I want them to be happy in their own way. But I don't want them to feed off of skillers just to get their own agenda out of the way, where, oh, I'm a beast, I can kill anyone, when you're just attacking someone that has like 2 food on them. I think there's definitely a right way and a wrong way of updating the wilderness if you're going to bring skilling and PVMing into it. And I think going the way they're currently going is just the wrong way. It doesn't rub any skiller the right way, and it's very annoying to them. And it's got to be annoying to PKers because they don't have that many updates. And I just feel like all this is just making everyone hate each other, which means you're probably never going to get a PKing update to pass. You need to contact skillers and PVMers and ask them, what would you like this to be? What do you think would make it so it's kind of worth going for you, but only if you're interested in that extra profit or that extra bit of, whatever it might be for a PVM. Something that some of you guys actually might not know is when they originally pulled the prayer question at the Chaos Altar, I contacted them and I gave them an alternative to it because I was quite sure that method was not going to pass at all. It would have become the best method in the wilderness for prayer. It would have been a huge money saver, and just it would have been a mess. So they took most of my ideas and kind of balanced it, I guess, in their own way. I'm not a big fan of the way they updated it, because I feel like they are definitely forcing every single Iron Man now to go in the wilderness and train prayer. You save 50% of the bones. I don't know. I mean, I think that's a bit too much for an Iron Man. What I think would actually be hilarious if they did, and I think they should do it just for the integrity of Iron Man at least, is they should make it so once an Iron Man tries to talk to the NPC outside the Chaos Altar, he literally tells you, according to your status, you play solo, so stop asking for my help. Just something that would make a hilarious meme out of it. It would still be a method that Iron Man can use, especially with these new methods coming into the game of teleporting to an obelisk. This means you can go to your house, rejuvenate everything with the pool, and then you can use the obelisk in the wilderness to bring you back to the Chaos Altar. There's one very close to it. You technically don't need to use the NPC there as an Iron Man, and it will still benefit you quite a bit. I don't know if they want to really promote that, though, because that means Iron Man doesn't really have a risk, just what's in their inventory, which is not going to be noted bones. It's going to be just an inventory of bones, but I would just disable it completely for Iron Man. If you want to know the quick math for it, 1 hour of prayer is going to save an Iron Man about 2 hours of killing dragons, which is huge. I mean, 2 hours just for doing 1 hour of prayer, I think that's a bit much. It could be nerfed quite heavily for Iron Man, I'd say. I mean, for a main account, though, that's like what they did is exactly what I hoped that they would have done, and what I suggested they do is just make it so you save money, right? That poll passed very well. Obviously, it wasn't too considered Iron Man, and most people don't think about that because they're probably not an Iron Man, but that poll passed pretty well. One of the only polls that actually did pass with all these new PvP rejuvenation things. And the reason was because it wasn't too OP for XP, it just saved you money. And that kind of is like the same thing as what I'm suggesting with make a decent method in the wilderness and make a good money, right? Saving money and making more money is like the same thing if you look at it the same way. If you're going to do something anyways and you save 1 mil doing it, you technically made 1 mil, if that makes any sense to some people, I guess. So If I save 1 billion GP training prayer in the wilderness, that's a billion GP I no longer have to spend on something that I was already going to consider doing anyways, which technically means I made a bill or I saved a bill. Kind of the same way if you look at it. I know that's like kind of controversial for some people based on how they look at things, but to me, saving money is basically the same as making it. It's, just kind of backwards. If you guys want to know, my original idea that I proposed to them with that idea was knock off the percentage boost that they give you, because that kind of makes it so you have to do prayer there. And it would just, I don't like percentage boost for things because that is literally what RS3 is, and most people don't like that. So I'm not sure why people would like it on old school. If you increase it by 35%, that's like having an avatar, RAF bonus, an outfit, and all that stuff combined on RS3, and that's like 35% boost. That's basically what they were offering. What they actually did was they basically turned it around and made it even more OP, but only like in some ways, I guess. So what I suggested was, when you use bones on the altar, you cannot manually use them. That was like my idea originally. I think they're actually doing that as well. You cannot manually use your bones on there, so you can't get like 1 mil plus prayer an hour now or something like that. My plan was to make it so your character uses 2 bones every time you do the animation of praying. You can save a bit of bones, maybe from a Wildy Diary complete or something like that. The NPC outside unnotes your bones for about 500 GP per bone. This would cost an extra 20 mil for 99 prayer, but you would get it at double the speed, basically. So you would save like 20-something hours of prayer, and you would spend an extra 20 mil. I think that's a good trade-off. And, I mean, you're getting at double the speed, which is kind of nice. So that was like my original idea. I think now it's going to be the same XP rate, but you save more money, so it's pretty much the same thing. I think they nipped at like a few of my ideas, put them in theirs, and then kind of just reworded, I guess, and changed it a little bit, which I'm completely fine with. I mean, I'm happy it's the way it is. I do feel bad for regular Iron Man, though, because they are about to have a huge, I guess it's technically a nerf, but it's also a huge buff, depending on how you look at it, for Iron Man. So, yeah, I'm sorry to you guys. God bless. I'm a hardcore, and that method is never going to be something I do. It's never going to be a method that any hardcore does. And if they do, they're not going to be a hardcore for too long. So enjoy your gray helmet, mate. Anyways, I'm going to probably wrap up the video here. This was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I guess I just had some things I wanted to get off my chest. I fully lost my voice. I understand that. I was already losing my voice anyways at the start of this video, so we're all good. Hopefully, maybe I expanded your guys' mind a little bit, or made you think differently of some things, made you maybe want to accept more things. But to sum it all up, I don't have an issue with PvP armors. I feel like the skilling in the wilderness is fine as long as it's balanced correctly, and it's not the best method. Like I said, I've done 4,000 hours of fishing dark crabs. Dark crabs are 40k an hour and about 400k profit per hour. They're a little bit less now because the prices have gone down, but 350k profit an hour, 40k fishing an hour, and the method is good because it's very AFK. It's one click for the full inventory. You do need to complete Wildy Elite Diary for the method, though, so it's got a pretty high requirement. That's like one of the highest requirements for a Wildy Diary, or for diaries in general. It has like 83 Slayer, 90-something Magic, 90-something Smithing, I think 80 Hunter even, and like 80, I don't know, a few other things. Smithing, 90-something, 85 Mining. It's got some high requirements. Only like 1 quest requirement, though, or maybe 2. I think you had to do some Lunar Teleport or some Ancient Teleport, and like the 96 Mage requirement. I would say even if we didn't have tick abusing for fishing, fishing was originally like 60k fishing an hour and about 6k agility. So let's just say it's because agility and fishing are the same rates then. So let's just say it's about 66k fishing per hour in terms of EHP. Versus, going in the Wildy getting 40k and 350k profit. That's perfectly well balanced. Even if tick abusing wasn't a thing, dark crabs in the Wildy would be perfectly balanced just the way they are right now. They are a bit too AFK, I will admit, but I think that's what makes them worth doing in most cases. And that's, like I said, it's a benefit to PKers, because if someone's AFK in dark crabs, you have a chance to declaw rush them, and they might not even eat food because they're AFK. So it's a benefit for them, and it's nice for the skiller to be able to do other things, I guess, while fishing or whatever. I really do wonder who watched this full video. It's probably 40 minutes. I'm gonna say I love old school. Comment I love old school if you watched the whole video. I'm curious to see how many people actually watched it, because this is probably one of my longest videos in a very long time. But hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Like I said, summarizing PvP armors. I wish they did pass. Unfortunately, it's not. A lot of updates, really. Rev Caves, I haven't really read too much about the Rev Caves. I don't know exactly what they plan on adding in there. Probably some Slayer things, probably something like that. And to that, I would fully be fine with it. If they want to add some Slayer things in there, maybe change up the drop table a little bit, make it more profitable on average, I have no issue with that. That's like the perfect update that you'd want. That would mean the XP rates are probably around the same as outside the wilderness or inside the wilderness, if it's a task where you don't barrage and stuff, obviously. But it would just be more profit. So if you can be asked to go in there and make a bit more profit for your Slayer task, maybe you can add a 10% increase in Slayer XP for the Wildy Elite Diary, just like the Mortenia Slayer Tower has 10%, or is it 50? No, it's 10% increase as well if you have the Elite Diary done. So, you could put things like that in there, and I'd be completely fine with it. I don't think I would ever complain if there was Slayer mobs in the Rev Caves, and they had a different drop table where it was pretty good or a little bit more OP, obviously, than the original ones. Anyways, hopefully that entertained you guys at least a little bit. Maybe, like I said, made you guys think differently in some ways, or not. Maybe you just hate me even more now. Videos like this are always kind of difficult to make as a YouTuber because it's like everyone has a different opinion, and sometimes when you voice yours, you get a lot of hate for it. I guess I'm kind of used to it by now anyways, and whatever people think. All this stuff is based on just what you think and what your opinion is. None of it is really right or wrong. It's just your opinion and how you think it should be updated. And, I think it's smart for all the players to meet a middle ground, basically. I think that's why a lot of things like these PKing things will not be passing because, like, no offense, but like you've pissed off the skillers. You've pissed off the PVMers by ragging them while they're doing things. I mean, it's not ragging technically, but in their eyes, it is ragging. Like I said, they're PVM and they're trying to kill a boss. They have to now deal with a PKer. I mean, that is ragging in a way to the PVMer. It's not technically ragging because it is the wilderness, but you gotta imagine it's probably annoying if you're almost done killing a boss and then you get barraged by a PKer and the boss gets off you and you lose the kill, you lose the loot, and now you got a PKer on you. It's just frustrating, right? Another idea that was brought up, which is it probably has a bit of correctness into it. I don't know that I worded that very wrongly. Why am I making this video so long? And it's like there's like 4 people still watching, man. Hello, 4 people. How y'all doing? So the last part I want to touch on was if we were to add more areas in the wilderness for PKers to do things, like kill skillers or PVMers or whatever it might be, it would basically be spreading the content out in the wilderness, and there would technically be a lower chance of you getting PK'd where you're at. Technically, that is true. At the same time, I mean, I don't like playing the guessing game with things like that, though, but that is kind of true. If there was to be more things in the wilderness for PKers to do, there'd probably be a smaller chance of you getting PK'd where you're skilling or where you're killing which boss. That is true for the most part, but I think sometimes PKers will hop from places to places they PK. They'll go from Dark Crabs to Chinchompas and back and forth, and it's probably just how it is, really. If we add 100 more things in the wilderness, then yeah, maybe that will eventually be the case where like there's so many things that there's a much smaller chance you'll get PK'd being where you're at. Maybe that's something to consider in the long run, right? Maybe it's not that bad of an idea than adding all these things. But I will always stay true to the statement of I don't want the best method to be in the wildy. I don't think that's correct. I think it's the wrong way to move forward with the game and the updates and things like that. But anyways, I'm losing my voice fully. Hope you guys can appreciate me losing my voice without even having to suck it. Don't want to get demonetized. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you watched the whole thing, you're pretty much a beast. I appreciate you a lot. Thanks for listening to my annoying voice for like an hour almost. Oh my god, we should just keep rambling, man. Maybe once in a while I'll make ramble videos, but only because this here is a really controversial topic, and I just wanted to give my take on it, I guess, for most people to understand it. And here I am again, ending my video 20 times in the same video. It's what I do best. I've indicated I'm ending the video like 10 times now, haven't I? Oh well, I mean, it's pretty great, isn't it? It's pretty funny, isn't it? Stupid. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Once again, I'm sorry to all the PKers that are missing out on so many things because, all this is an issue.